Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hey everyone, welcome to Better Steps.
Your daily dose of motivation and practical tips to help your goals and create a life you love.
Whether you're looking to boost your career, improve your skills, or simply add more joy to your everyday routine, you are in the right place. And I'm Muhammad Salvan Makim,
And I'm Akhtar Muhammad Zain.
I'm Muhammad Aris Rahman Dafaza.
and we're here to share actionable steps, inspiring stories, and maybe expert insights to take those better steps one day at a time. And today's episode is all about finding your learning styles, and maybe we'll deep diving into a guide to personalize your method. So get ready to learn, get inspired, and take that first step towards a better you. Maybe before we are going to the discussion, I would like to ask you guys uh, how you define the learning method.
In my opinion,
Yes.
learning method is the way you learn something with your suitable method. This what has many learning methods. You can choose your suitable or the most comfortable style to learn something new. It means if you are comfortable, it will get easier to learn something.
So how about you, brother Akhtar?
Yeah, I have the same opinion with Brother Ryan. Learning method is the way you learning something, like step-by-step procedure to learning something new.
No, it's great to hear that you and brother Ryan share similar views on learning method. Indeed, having a step-by-step procedure can really facilitate a process of acquiring new knowledge or maybe new skills. And actually, for me, learning method itself is like the best way to help your learning study more engaging or exciting and not kind of being overwhelmed. And of course, we all have our own learning method. It might work for you, but not for other people. And here we are trying to discover what is the most effective and suitable for you guys that watching right now, and especially for us too, because I often feel when I'm trying to study armed with textbooks and notes, only to find my mind is kind of wandering after 10 minutes of study. Do you guys feel that way too?
Yeah, I feel it all the time. We have the same experience, by the way. I'm the type of the guy that cannot stay focused even for 2 minutes. I don't know what happened in my mind when facing subject in front of my eyes. Suddenly, my brain just stopped working. So that's why when I'm trying to learn something, I often use learning by doing style. For me, that style is very useful, especially when I'm trying to learning something that non-academic,
Yeah.
something like how to play guitar, how to edit a video, how to graphic design, and etc.
Oh yeah, I think I totally relate with you. Feeling your brain shut down can be super annoying.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hear you on the learning by doing style. It's really interesting, but we will discuss it after what Brother Ryan says. So, how about you, Brother Ryan? Do you feeling the same with us?
I feel it, but not all the time. So when I decided to study something, I can bring my whole self, like start learning something. But if I didn't make a clear decision or to study or didn't make program, didn't make a plan, I end up unable to move my body and my mind to actually study. And that's why oftentimes I made foolish decisions and finally I didn't study at all. And finding myself spending my time to, you can say, play games,
Yeah.
watch videos, and other unproductive things. So that's why when I want to study, I have to make schedule or program. This method helped me to focus on my study and give me some motivation to build the atmosphere. And at that time, my whole self is ready to learn something. By the way, I want to tell you guys my learning method.
Yeah.
I often use learning by listening, learning by reading, and last but not least, same with Brother Akhtar, learning by doing.
Oh,
For me, this method is very suitable for people like me.
That's awesome. That you're creating a structure plan when it comes to studying.
Yes.
Because having a schedule or program not only helps you to focus, but also motivates us, to create the right environment for learning. And yeah, guys, as Brother Ryan says, and as Brother Akhtar says too, they talk about their learning method, learning by doing, reading, and listening. And actually, there is the difference between doing, listening, and reading. So maybe you wonder why there is a difference between this. Here, we can analogy like this is the learning by doing, this is the learning by reading and listening. So this is the active one, learning by doing. It's like because you have to put much effort into it, and I think you have to get your hand dirty or hands on your activity. But the passive one is like you don't have to put much effort into it. It's like less effort and just listening and just reading. That's why it called passive. And we jump into my maybe what I use, or what's the most effective learning method I use. I think it's collaborative learning or learning by collaboration. It's because fun to do. You can study with your friends,
Yeah.
study together, but it's not only fun to do. You can also develop our critical thinking skills, and I think it's a great way to share knowledge, maybe ask questions, and making that learning section is a social experience. Or maybe you can debating with your friend. It might help you to reinforce understanding of some complex topics. And I often use this method when approaching midterm or final exams, and I always prepare upcoming materials a month in advance. And I'm asking my friends to joining me to study together, maybe at the library or somewhere else that we can exchange our ideas.
Oh, that's cool. And how about if you don't have any friends to study together?
Interesting.
Maybe I like to use learning by reflecting,
Oh,
reflective learning. It's because like taking a mental snapshot of what happened in the past and then examining it from different angles and figuring out what you can learn from it. The example is that right now we are discussing in English about some topics, and after this I have to ask myself what I have to evaluate, what I should evaluate, such as what did I learn from this experience, what can I do better, maybe what do I need to improve my English skills in the future shooting or tapping, like maybe my intonation, my pronunciation, or maybe my vocabulary. And I think that's how I'm using learning method by individually. Maybe how about you, Brother Akhtar?
Yeah, I've been using the learning by doing method. So it is an active method. Okay. So I'm using this method because it's easy and I'm comfortable with it. For example, when I was trying to learn how to play a guitar, I usually start by watching some tutorial videos in the beginning, looking for guide on how to play the chords, for example, and at least I got the gist about how to play it. And then I didn't spend much time in the theories, so I just tried playing the guitar. So when I'm playing the guitar, just keep an eye on my error. So if I make an error, I can fix the problem, and then try not to make the same error again as before.
I love your learn by doing style actually. Watching tutorials,
It's
then getting hands on. It's a great way to break it down and learn organically. And fixing mistake as you go is like built-in feedback. It keeps you improving every day, every day. And Brother Ryan, what method do you use? It seems like you have the same method as Brother after learning by
Yes,
doing.
yes.
Maybe you can explain your experience to us.
from my experience, I use the passive method at college. For example, I want to learn English language. First, I will listen to the theory, write the pattern, and read to memorize a lot of vocabulary. this passive method really helped me at college because I only prepared my mind and my notes to learn English. But I think this method has a disadvantage because if we use it frequently, it will make a mindset in our mind. Because this method didn't tell you the reason behind it. For example, if your teacher or maybe if your lecturer or maybe you are at sport your coach, if you use this pattern, if you use this pose, it's wrong. But in the other side of the situation, if you use this method, use this pose, you use this style, it's right. So it means, in my opinion, passive method must be followed by the active method. And my active method, like same with Brother Akhtar, learning by doing, because this method is suitable for me, right? If we want to use this learning by doing, at least we know the theory a little bit. For example, playing football. You go to the field and don't know anything except how to run. You learn how to shoot, you learn how to pass, and how to dribble. After you observe your team, maybe your enemy, maybe your friends on your team, you learn how to shoot. And you're trying to implement that technique. First try, maybe we face the failure. Maybe we fall to the ground, hit by ball. But I think that's the price if you want to use learning by method. Failure or pain, it will become our energy to be better at playing football. If we pass it, we get a lot of knowledge and experience. So in my opinion, learning by doing is the method for us to learn by experience after we do something new.
That's interesting, You have to follow up the passive method and with active method.
Yes.
So that's why you're choosing that learning by reading and listening
Yes.
and then combine it with doing. That's interesting. But I have a question, guys. How do you measure the success of your learning method? Is it based on understanding concept or maybe practical application or maybe skills acquired? For me, personally, I'm measuring my success of the learning method by understanding the concept and then apply it. For example, we have a group project last weekend, right?
Yes.
About the JetBlue shutdown.
Yes.
And we have to analyze that case study. After I'm analyzing the case study, I have to apply those theoretical concepts to a real world scenarios, like how the CEO of JetBlue's responds to the problem and how not to make the wrong decision. And I think that's how I measure my success. How about you guys? Maybe do you have different measure of myself?
Yeah.
Right?
For me, to measure the success of the learning method, you can do some tests or something like tests. So, such as a mathematics or chemistry subject. For example, you already learned or study about the chemistry subject. Now the teacher wants to know about how far do you understand about the chemistry, right? So they make some tests or some exam, of course, and the final result will indicate how much you understand the subject. Okay. So if you get score 70, it means you understand less. It means you need to learn more. But if you get 100, it means you already understand about the subject. So it's just an example. Sometimes there's a different case or different scenarios.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's like measuring from the concrete score what teacher give to us. And yeah, that's really interesting for the measuring. How about you, Brother Ryan?
Me, I evaluate the success of the learning method by observing how I apply the skills I acquired from my knowledge. I use this evaluate during the project in a real world scenarios or project. In those scenarios, we need to apply understanding of our theory to solve a practical problem, like we said. After that, I can compare overall academic performance to identify any significant improvements from the scenario or project I solve.
Oh, so we have the similar, to measuring the
Yeah.
success
Yes.
of our learning method. As we have heard, guys, from each other, there's no single best learning style. What works for one person might not be ideal for another. And the key is to explore methods and identify what helps you truly understand and retain information. And remember, guys, learning is a lifelong journey. Embrace the process, experiment with different methods, and you will discover the tools that empower you to become your best learning self. And maybe that's from us. Thank you, Brother Ryan. Thank you, Brother Akhtar.
Sure.
And better steps.
Your daily dose of motivation and practical tips to help you reach your goal and create a life you love.
And thank you for watching. See you in the next episode. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.